that's usually not here. We have Chris Nicolia in the blue suit, and we have Charlie in the black suit, Kalinowski. With us from Suffolk Region, who will be running and hosting with us, is Gerard and Bevan, and they will be, Gerard is going to be asking the questions, and Bevan will be the official timekeeper. And if you have any questions, Gerard will give you all the instructions on how tonight will run.
Okay, so you have to take them through index cards, so we have a few to get started, but you can just drop them off, just walk right up, drop them off here, it's fine. Alrighty, so let me just start by reading the guidelines. The unique candidate guidelines are no letters or statements by absent candidates, which we don't have to worry about here. Will be moderator and timekeeper, as you know. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make a presentation stating qualifications and reasons for running. When the 3 minutes are up, the timekeeper will ring a bell to signify that the sentence must be completed. All questions will be taken from those written on index cards, reviewed and selected by the moderator. He may not necessarily hear your question in the way it was written. If you get 2 or 3 of the same question, we'll just kind of combine them. Each candidate is given the opportunity to answer each question in 1 minute. When the minute is up, the timekeeper will ring a bell indicating the candidate must finish the sentence. No rebuttals are allowed during the question and answer period. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make a closing statement, after which the last question will be answered. At this time, candidates may make rebuttals. The length of the program will be determined by the president or chairman and the moderator prior to the beginning of the evening. Since there's only 2 candidates, it's going to go really fast, and some of the questions are going to be really quick answers, it looks like. So figure we'll run until about 9 o'clock, maybe take closing statements at 9 o'clock, unless things are really going and a lot of questions keep coming in. But figure we'll run this for about an hour. Alrighty, presentations are in alphabetical order, closing statements are in reverse order. No literature, you have to worry about that. Alrighty, so we start in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Kalinowski, you get to make the first opening statement.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming here tonight and taking the time to listen. My name is Charles Kalinowski. In 1958, my great-grandparents bought their home in Country Village. I've been in the district, or a resident of East Islip, about 45 years now. I have 3 children, an 8-year-old girl, a 12-year-old boy, and a 13-year-old boy. I teach at North Babylon Middle School, Robert Moses Middle School. It's my 20th year. I also have an SDA from Stony Brook, the School District Administration license. And I'd like an opportunity to serve our community. It's been serving my family for many years now, about, I would say, 61. Thank you.
All right,
Good evening. Nice to see everybody here. Thank you for giving us your time and allowing us to discuss the school board position with you all. My name is Chris Nicolia. I live in East Islip. I've been a resident in East Islip since December 23rd, 2014. I live in East Islip with my wife, Christina, my 3.5-year-old daughter, Olivia, my 20-month-old daughter, Serafina, and my 5-month-old son, Christopher Jr. I'm an attorney. The field of education is very new to me. I'm mainly a real estate and zoning attorney. I've worked for the town of Islip in large firms, small firms, and now I'm in-house counsel at a corporation in western Suffolk County, handling mostly real estate. I grew up in Islip. Basically, have lived in the area my entire life. After I left home in Islip, I went to college at Hofstra, then moved back and went to Toro Law School, living in an apartment in Bayshore, where I met my wife. I'm running for school board because I think the school district is going in a good direction, and I would like to be involved with it as my children come into the district, and I would like to stay with them during the process and have oversight over the education process. I guess make sure that this school district remains a safe place for my children to be when I'm not there to watch them, to make sure that there's plenty of choice, a rainbow of selections of opportunities and programming for my children. My children are very young, and already I can tell they have varying abilities and interests, and I'd like to make sure that my children, who I don't know what they're going to like yet, have the opportunity to sample everything available, as well as all of your children have the same opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. And we alternate the questions back and forth. So since you went second with the opening statement, you get the first question.
Great.
And please give your number one reason for running for the school board. What is the main reason that you wanted to?
Being that I have 3 young children who are about to enter into the district, and that I want to make sure that there is choice in options of programming for all of them, regardless of whatever their interests may be.
Okay, great. Mr.
I
Kalinowski?
think I'm looking about 30 of the 25,000 reasons why I am running for board. I think the school district is the lifeblood of the community. It's been flowing many years through my family, and I believe that if we all work together, we can obtain a common goal. And that's pretty much why I'm running, to be able to give back what has been given to my family for so many years.
Okay. So you get the next question also. What do you think are the responsibilities of a Board of Education member?
Oh, it's a lot of responsibility from what I'm told. I think you have to be a good listener. There's a lot of different people that have different points of view. Without being a good listener, I don't think you could be a successful school board. A successful board member. You have to be able to also lead and guide others. In addition to that, I think you need to be accessible. Okay, you need to be out there, you need to be listening. I know that when I go to any type of school event, I see Mr. Dolan. He's accessible. And I think that is very important, very important.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nicolia?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, what do you think are the responsibilities for a Board of Education member?
I think the Board of Education members' primary responsibility and duty should be oversight without direct interference in the management and operations of the school. I think and that oversight should include making sure that, for example, construction progress is going according to plan, and leaving the professionals in the district and the retained professionals to make sure they're doing the right thing, and if they're not, to step in and rectify. I believe the same thing with security issues and with issues that arise within the staff and administration. I don't think that the school board members should be actively taking an active day-to-day management role within the administration, but should focus on the oversight capacity.
Okay. You also get first shot at the next question. What is your opinion about armed guards in schools?
I think that we live in a sad time that this even has to be a question. However, I don't think it's a horrible idea as long as there's strict oversight, to use that word again, and regulations that are followed and enforced. I think that it would be best if the armed school guards did not enter the school itself, remained on the perimeter, and during times that a lot of the children, the vulnerable children, are outside, such as when they're loading the buses and when they're in the playground area. I think it's sad, but I don't think, given today's climate, that it's too much, or I think that it's a worthy negotiation to allow them to do so, to allow them to be there. And I also think that there should be strict background checks, and that the armed guards should be all retired police officers with, fun.
Okay. Mr. Kalinowski?
I'll keep it simple. I'm a flat-out nay. The only person that should be on the premises is a uniformed officer, and that's my opinion on that.
Okay. Alrighty, Mr. Kalinowski, you get the first one here. Teacher's contract expires in June. What are your thoughts of what the district should focus on in the new contract, or the Board of Education should focus on in the new contract?
In fact, I was actually speaking with Christine Maloney today, and they had discussed that. I wasn't even aware that the contracts were up, and now I am. I think it's important that you have an open line of communication between administration, teachers, anybody that falls under the umbrella of those contracts, as well as the Board of Education. You need to work together as a team. I did notice that the budget had a decrease in the percentage of salaries, and the salaries went down, the percentage, but the other costs went up, like busing costs, BOCES costs, utilities, anything that pertained to other than instruction. So I think that at this point, the board and the district is doing a pretty good job with maintaining a balanced budget. And as far as the contracts come up, I think that's going to be a big work in progress.
Okay. Mr. Nicoli?
I think that the school district, or the teacher unions and the school district or the school board should work together to reach a fair result in the contract negotiations and renewals. And I understand that a fair result, you know, you can look at that from two different ways. However, you know, as I learned in law school and in practice, the hallmark of a good deal is where nobody walks away from the table very happy. So I think that the goal of the district should be to enter into a fair contract that the taxpayers and the teachers can both abide by.
Okay, and you get the first shot at the next question. So what is your opinion of parents having their children opt out of state tests?
I disagree with it. I understand why some parents may want to do it. However, I think that it has a negative impact on I guess I would almost say the morale of the district and the teachers themselves. I think that I understand why some teachers don't want their students to opt out, but, I understand why some teachers want their students to opt out, but I don't think that it's a good idea in the long run.
Okay.
I agree with about the 73% of the parents who decided to opt out their children. I opted out my two sons from the middle school, and I don't really believe in the standardized tests. I've been teaching for 20 years, 7 and 8, and it's not really authentic instruction. It's nice to be able to memorize facts, and you do have to read and write, and that's very important, but I've never been a big fan. So opting out is a plus for me. And it's always been, and I don't think my view will change much on that.
Alrighty, you get first crack at the next
Okay.
question. What groups in the community are you active in?
I joined the PTA, the Booster Club. I'm part of the Disabled American Veterans, which I know is not, East Islip specifically, Sandy Hook Project, and that's it.
Nicole?
Oh, can I answer? I
Oh, yeah.
apologize.
That's
And I
fine.
do go to like lacrosse and football fundraisers. I was at the one a couple of weeks ago. I think Mrs. Carney saw me there.
Alrighty. Mr. Cole?
Between an active law practice and having 3 children under 3, I haven't had much of an opportunity to be involved in a lot of extracurricular groups within the community. However, as my children get older, especially as they enter into, the PAL leagues, and I look forward to doing so.
Alrighty, and you'll get first crack at the next question. Please give your view on the importance of offering more electives in our high school.
I think that offering more electives in the high school is an excellent idea. The reason being, children need choice into what they, choice to learn what they are interested in and what they want to pursue. As long as those electives are real electives that provide some educational value, I think it's great. I remember I went to college and I had no idea what I wanted to do because where I went to high school at St. Anthony's didn't offer very many options outside of the core classes and various religious classes.
Okay, Mr.
All
Kalinowski?
right, I agree with Mr. Nicolia. I think there needs to be electives. Which ones are given or offered, that's something that really needs to be looked at. I'm big on vocational opportunities. I think that's something we have to look at very closely. I know it's expensive, but guess what? There's a lot of people out there that aren't college bound, but they're doing very, very well in the trades. And I know a lot of people that do very well. think that's very important. So maybe there could be some electives.
Alrighty. You get first crack at the next question. Do you have any knowledge of education law?
I do have some. I have an SDA, and some of the requirements were to take some school law classes. I think I had to take 2 classes. It's been a while, about 10 years since I got the SDA. But I'm not a lawyer, so I would probably have to refer to the law books
Okay.
and get it from there and ask the people around me. And try to listen and learn.
Mr. Napoleon?
Yes, I have a little bit of experience with the education law, primarily as it relates to construction and application of the building codes and zoning codes of the relevant jurisdiction to school districts and how they're required to comply with them or not comply with them, as the case may be. However, I do have experience with labor negotiations. The company I work for has a very interesting labor arrangement with union and non-union divisions in the same marketplace. So I feel that that may be applicable, or my knowledge in handling that delicate situation may be applicable to me potentially being on the school board.
Okay. Alrighty, so you get first crack at the next question, which is, what is your view on the importance of music and art education in our schools?
I think that harkens back to my original reason I wanted to run as far as choice. I think the music and the arts are excellent. In addition to the values that they provide on their own, I think that children with being offered musical opportunities and artistic opportunities also provides structure. I remember when I was younger, I was in school and I took some musical classes, and I would get home from school, finish my homework, and then practice the instrument that I had chosen for that year. And I think that was hugely instrumental, no pun intended, in helping me learn how to have a more diligent structure for my life.
Okay, very good. Tomowski?
Well, I can say I was speaking to my neighbor Stephen. I won't mention the last name, but he plays the trumpet. And I can remember the first day he got it. It was years ago because he's a senior now. And I remember saying, oh no, he was burp, burp, burp. But now he's good at it. And he's actually going to Binghamton, and he's going to play the trumpet. And that was the one thing he always loved. He wasn't an athlete, he wasn't an artist, but he's a musician. So I think everybody should be afforded that opportunity. Arts and music, important, in my opinion.
Okay, great. Before we go on to the next question, I just wanted to let everybody know, any questions that you submit need to be able to be asked of both candidates. We can't have any questions that are specific to one candidate, right? So if you had, and it worked out because there was one specific for each guy, but we have, just to keep it fair, we have to have it so that both candidates can answer the question. Alrighty, so, Mr. Kalinowski, you're up with, what is your understanding of fund balance and how much do you think it should be?
Okay, I believe there has to be, you mean talking like a reserve?
Yeah.
Based upon what I see, the reserve funds are about 2 million in East Islip. I wrote down some facts.
That's our Bedford guy.
Am I allowed to look at this because I was doing some research?
That's all right.
All right, so based
What did you
upon what I
notice?
see here, they had, the allowed levy was 2.81%, the proposed was 0.8, and what they did was they used 1.4 million of the reserve fund, and to me, that sounds like it's responsible. So from what I'm understanding and what I see, the reserve funds are a certain percentage, but it looks like they're around the $2 million range, and I think it's important to have some money in reserve. That's all I pretty much know about reserve funds.
Okay.
So I gotta learn probably more about it.
And what do you know, Mr. Napoleon?
Probably even less. I do know from being a young man with a family and a wife who doesn't work outside of the home that having savings is good. Sometimes difficult, but good. And I think that in those questions, I would rely on more experienced board members and retain professionals such as accountants who could advise on that.
Okay. All right. And when he seems to be the subject of the day, so you get the next question. What do you think about this year's tax levy increase? Is it too much, or not enough, or just right?
I believe that this year's tax levy increase is less than the cap, which I think is extraordinarily low for, as usual. I believe that the cap was 0.8%, and I think we came in less than that, which I think that's phenomenal.
Okay. And Mr. Kalinowski?
I'm looking at the 2019-2020 allowable levy, and from this, it says 2.81%, but the proposed was only 0.8, and to me, that sounds good. Sounds real good.
Alrighty. Kalinowski, you get the, oops, hold on a second. Alrighty, this is, approximately how many board meetings have you attended in the last 2 years?
Last 2 years?
Yeah.
2, 3, I believe, 3.
Okay.
Not many.
Like I said, some of
Three.
these are really quick answers, so we need a lot of questions, guys. Alrighty, Mr. Nicolia, how about yourself?
0.
0, okay. Like I said, some of these go quick. Alrighty, so Mr. Nicolia, you get first shot at the next question, and what do you see as the biggest challenge facing our schools today?
Do you mean East Islip or schools in general?
Yeah, the question was our schools today, but you can
Okay.
answer it however you want. You can specific to East Islip or schools in general.
I think that the biggest challenge schools are facing today include updating the programming that in some circumstances hasn't been, I guess, updated to the modern day environment. I know that the stuff that was available to me when I was in school would be outdated today, and it wasn't that long ago. And I know that some of the stuff I had in school was outdated in 2004 when I graduated. So I think that is it. Preparing the students for today's modern world is the biggest challenge facing the school today.
Alrighty. Mr. Kalinowski?
What I see on an everyday basis, we gotta keep these kids engaged and motivated. There's a disconnect, especially with like technology. It's evolving a lot more quickly than some of the adults can, as well as the educators. And when a child finds something more interesting than what the teacher might be trying to teach, that's when you have problems. So I think like motivating and engaging the children, I remember like my wife's telling me, when the kids come into class, she teaches elementary school, they're like excited. Then I get them in middle school, and they see like you gotta almost perform like magic tricks at times to keep them really interested. So that seems to be one of the biggest issues that I see. And then when they get to high school, they know that they have to do well, otherwise they don't graduate. But I do see that the middle school, you definitely gotta keep them engaged. But I think that holds true probably for all ages.
Alrighty.
Interesting.
Alrighty, so you get first crack at the next question.
Okay.
And have you ever spoken at a board meeting or addressed the board via email? And if so, what was the issue and what was the response?
I did email one gentleman once regarding an EpiPen. He wasn't aware that they had them at the ECC, and I knew due to law that you had to have them. So I had made him aware. I think he was concerned about his grandson had an allergy. And then I did ask Mr. Manzo a question about how many students have enrolled, and he got right back to me. So I think that was kind of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Mr. Nicolia?
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Have you ever spoken at a school board meeting or addressed the board via email? And if so, what was the issue and how was your response? Or what kind of response did you get?
No, I have not done either of those two things.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Nicolia, you go first on the next one. Are you being endorsed by any local groups?
Yes, I'm being endorsed by TaxPac.
Okay. Any other groups, or?
That's it so far.
Okay, and Mr. Kalinowski, you being endorsed by any groups?
Friends, families, and neighbors, and that's about it.
Okay. Need some more questions, guys. We'll be out here in about another 10, 15 minutes. All right. A lot of these are kind of similar. All righty. Okay, you get first crack at the next one, Mr. Kalinowski.
Okay.
If elected, what are your goals for the district?
Okay, some of the goals. Let's see. My first goal is to get to know each and every board member and their views. I think that's important. Another goal is to make sure that we maintain a responsible budget, which looks like it's been going on for a few years already, so that's great. In addition, I'd like to see more vocational opportunities for the students. And I think, we gotta just make sure like the schools are safe in like the bullying. Like I'm hearing sometimes like there's some bullying going on, I think we just gotta nip that in the bud. Because kids gotta feel safe. Without safety, there's no education. But I heard it's getting a lot better and stuff in the hallways when my sons are around me. So that's a good thing.
Okay. Mr. Napoleon?
My major goal is to ensure that our school district is a safe and healthy environment where students and teachers can work together and facilitate the learning needed and do it in a fiscally responsible way. To reiterate, when my children are in school, that's when they're not with me, so I want to make sure that the district is a very safe place for them, as well as every other child, to make sure that they have the choice that they need to find their niche in life and to maintain a responsible budget that's going to be fair to everybody without overly burdening the taxpayers.
Okay. Some of the remaining questions have kind of like been answered already in opening statements and whatever. If you haven't heard what you want to hear, just come up and whisper on my ear like, no, Jerry, you missed what I wanted to ask, or fill out another card or whatever. In the interim, PTA did provide me with some standby questions, which we will go to. And Mr. Nicole, you get the, let's see. Okay, Mr. Nicole, you get the first shot on this one. What experience do you have that will be beneficial to the school board?
In my current position, I'm an overseer of a lot of different departments that aren't necessarily legal. I have experience in management in that regard. While I am not labor counsel to my company, I have often acted as the unofficial mediator, so to speak, before we need to bring labor counsel in to try to let cooler heads prevail. I currently also serve on the Islip Zoning Board of Appeals, so sitting on a board making decisions on a weekly, sometimes weekly basis is not foreign to me, and I have the ability to do so.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Kalinowski?
Okay, so as mentioned earlier, I've been teaching for 20 years at the Robert Moses Middle School. I did teach 3 years of forensic science, so I have a working knowledge of this public school system. I know what works, but more importantly, what does not work. In addition, I've been part of budgeting, hiring personnel, maintaining supplies, and also equipment. So I think I may offer a significant amount of knowledge that I have learned over the years when it comes to school districts.
Okay. All right, and you get first crack at the next question. Please explain why you support or do not support this year's budget.
I support it because I feel as though it hasn't really gone up much. And I realize you have to have money to pay for things. And I don't really see a major increase. So that's why I support it. I don't see like any major issues with the budget.
Okay. So I'll go to you, Mr. Napoleon.
I support the budget because it is a very minor increase. It's well below the tax cap. In addition, looking at it and doing a little bit of research, I've learned that while not increasing the budget above the tax cap level, significant items have been added to the budget, such as a Raptor system, which I'm told is the visitor access security system at the front door of every building in the district. Various additional programming, a cosmetology room in the high school, various items for the athletic programs, and the replacement of various equipment that needed to be replaced for maintenance, grounds and maintenance issues.
Okay, and you'll get first crack at the next question. What are your views on the need to increase mental health services in the district?
I think that mental health services should be increased to the extent that they're required. I don't know the specifics, but if there are issues going untreated, then obviously there is a need for the increase to mental health services.
Okay, Mr. Kalinowski?
That's one of the major points that I would definitely address. From what I understand, I think there might be one social worker at the middle school, maybe two, and there's like, I think there's almost 1,000 students, and I just don't think there's enough mental health on staff. I think you need to be proactive, like a vaccine. You don't want something to get to the point where it's just out of control. And a lot of people out there don't have maybe medical insurance to get the help they need, while others do, but you just can't find a good, like, psychologist or psychiatrist or a social worker. A lot of people aren't trained in child psychology. A lot of parents might not even be there for their kids because they're working 2-3 jobs, not that they don't want to. So I'm a huge advocate of social workers. I get kids after school coming to me because they need somebody to talk to, not because they need extra help. So I'm just making a big statement.
Alrighty, and then you get first crack at the next question. What are some of the implications of a no vote on our budget? If the budget goes down, you know what the
You get the
implications are?
contingency budget, and they do cut out some things. I believe they probably would cut out such things as maybe some arts and music classes. You might have to pay for sports. I know that you keep all the core classes, but other than that, it's more like a bare bones type of scenario. I mean, you have a lot still, but they cut out some of the things that, quote unquote, you don't need, but a lot of people still need those things. So I don't think a contingency budget is a good idea.
Mr. Napoleon?
I couldn't have said it any better myself. I agree. I think that a contingency budget where if the primary budget didn't pass would result in programming being cut because it's deemed non-essential, and that's kind of the whole point of why I'm here, to increase programming and choice for the students.
Alrighty. All right, you get first crack at the next question. So now they're sending the hard question. All right, well, you get two, so.
All right.
All right, but
I know, that's why I'm here.
Chris gets it first. Since you wanted to run for a seat on the board, why haven't you attended more board meetings over the last couple of years?
Only in the past, I would say 6 to 7 months, have I really started to express an interest in running for a board position should one become available. And during those 6 to 7 months, my wife has been pregnant, or I've been with a newborn. And my schedule is finally starting to free up a little bit in that regard, now that we have some help in the house. But I haven't really had the opportunity to.
Okay. Mr. Kalinowski?
I have no valid excuses nor reasons. I can tell you one thing, the first board meeting I went to, it wasn't very nice. I thought there'd be a fist fight. It made me feel uncomfortable. But as I started to think about running for the Board of Education, I started to attend the board meetings. And That's exactly why. But no excuse why I shouldn't have.
All righty. All right, I may have one or two more that I can get out of our general list. Is there anyone out here who has a question that you haven't heard, or speak now, or forever hold your peace, or I'll find another question and then we'll go to closing statements. All righty, so, okay, I'll ask you to get first crack at this one.
Okay.
What ideas do you have for creative solutions to our property tax problems?
Yeah.
That's,
All
like
right,
I said,
so,
we're saving the hard
the
ones till
elephant in
last.
the room. Gotcha.
Yep,
All
the
right.
elephant in the room.
Property taxes. I know mine went up by $2,000 this year, so nobody wants to have to pay more money. That's just, I think, human nature. But it's, if you want to have certain things, you got to pay for them. The fact is, about half of your property tax is for the school. The other half is via town expenses. There's not much we can do about that, but it's always been a focal point for people in the community to try to do something about property taxes. I don't see them going down. I think we just probably need to maintain them at a low level, but I don't ever see them going down, to be honest with you. I've never seen it.
All right, Mr. Napoli?
Minimal budget increases, in which case you can still achieve improvements to the district by exercising strict fiscal responsibility, making sure that there's no runaway spending on items that aren't necessary. Basically, spend what you have to on what you need. I understand that you need to spend money. You get what you pay for. But I also think that, and without having seen the specifics of the budget, I'm sure there's fat to be trimmed.
Okay. All righty, I know it seems kind of quick, because we only spent about 45 minutes, but with only 2 candidates, you know, the questions go pretty quick, and believe it or not, we have asked 22 questions. So you should have a pretty good idea of your candidates. So you'll just give us a moment to collect your thoughts. And we do the closing statements in reverse order. So Mr. Kalinowski went first with the opening statements. And then Mr. Nicolia, so now Mr. Nicolia goes first with his closing statement, and then Mr. Kalinowski will finish it up.
Again, as I originally stated, the whole purpose, or the reason, the main reason why I want to run is to make sure that my daughters and son can receive the best education possible from the district. And not to say that they wouldn't, as the board is currently comprised, but I'm a little bit of a control freak in that regard, I suppose. But to make sure that they can leave East Islip ready to take on the world, having been able to sample all that is available to be offered. And just as way of an example, my 2 daughters, my oldest daughter Olivia is 3.5, and my younger daughter Serafina is 20 months. My older daughter, Olivia, if she tried to throw a ball, it's just as likely to go backwards as forwards. My younger daughter Serafina can already throw the ball at me from across the room. And I want to make sure that both of them have the option, or have the possibility, to find their niche that seeks their skills and their abilities. And I think that by being on the board and trying to get involved in the district, that's the best way to make that happen. And by the way, not only my daughters do I want to make sure have the options to experience all that life has to offer, but all of your children as well, and all of my neighbors' children.
All right, Mr. Kalinowski?
Well, if the district fails, everything fails. It's like I mentioned, it's the life's blood that runs through us. It connects us all, has a big impact on business, property values, but most importantly, the children's education. I just would like to give back what was been given to me over the years, and I think I have what it takes to work with the other board members. First year, I'm sure I'll be doing a lot of listening and learning, but over the next couple of years, if elected, hopefully I could, contribute. And on May 21st, please vote for Kalinowski. That's all I gotta say, folks.
All righty, well, that wraps it up. On a personal note, I want to thank both the candidates and the crowd. This has probably been one of the most civil
Chris.
meet the candidates nights I've ever had to moderate at, so I thank you for that.
I've got kids.
And get home safely. And don't forget
Thank
the
you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
No, this is my.
Hey.